Salem's Last Daughter, a novel by Dalton Worst. Chapter 1. The Last Train to Salem. The train slowed as the salt air thickened in the cabin. I pressed my forehead to the smudged glass, watching the marshes blur past in muted greens and browns. Every mile carried me closer to a town I'd sworn I'd never return to. Salem. My mother's voice still haunted me from the day I left. Run if you must, Abigail. But the blood will always bring you back. She'd died last winter, alone in the crumbling Prescott house on Deadwater Street. The coroner said natural causes, but nothing in Salem was ever natural. The conductor's voice crackled overhead. Next stop, Salem. A few passengers gathered their bags. Most avoided my eyes, but one old woman in moth-eaten shawl kept staring. Her gaze wasn't curious, it was knowing. As if she recognized me, as if she could still see the 12-year-old girl who fled this place with nothing but a backpack and a pocket full of nightmares. I glanced away, gripping the worn leather strap of my satchel. Inside, wrapped in linen, was the thing I dreaded most, the iron key to Prescott House. It had been mailed to me in a plain envelope 2 days after the funeral. No return address, just my name and my mother's handwriting. The ink fresh as if she'd written it yesterday. The train screeched into the station. Salem's platform was just as I remembered. Weathered wood, peeling paint, gulls screaming overhead like they'd lost something they'd never find again. I stepped down, the solace of my boots hitting the planks with a hollow sound. The air smelled of brine and wood smoke. Somewhere, a bell tolled, low and distant. The old woman from the train brushed past me, leaning in close enough for me to smell dried lavender. "Welcome home, Abigail Prescott," she whispered, her voice rough as dry leaves. "She's been waiting." Before I could ask who, she melted into the crowd. The walk to Deadwater Street was shorter than I remembered, though every building seemed to lean a little closer to the road, eaves hanging like watchful brows. The town hadn't changed much. Narrow cobblestone streets, iron lampposts, windows shuttered against more than just the wind. When I turned the corner, Prescott House rose at the end like a sentinel. The paint had peeled to a ghostly gray. The windows were dark, though I thought I saw a flicker in the upstairs room, the one that had been my mother's. The key felt heavy in my palm. The lock gave with a single turn, as if it had been waiting for me. Inside, the air was colder than the street. Dust floated in pale shafts of light slicing through cracked curtains. The scent of dried herbs lingered in the hall sage, mugwort, and something sharper I couldn't place. I set my bag down and wandered into the parlor. Everything was exactly as she'd left it. The velvet sofa, the oak cabinet, the brass candlesticks, and the table by the window where my mother's journal lay open, pen resting across the page as if she'd only stepped out for a moment. My hand shook as I picked it up. Her last entry was dated the day before she died. The ink trailed off mid-sentence. The shadow comes closer every night. I hear her in the walls, whispering that it is nearly. The rest was a jagged line of ink, as though the pen had been yanked away. That night, I slept in my old room. The walls were still papered with faded violets, the bed smaller than I remembered. I left the lamp burning on the knitstand, telling myself it was for unpacking later. But when the clock in the hall struck midnight, I woke to the sound of footsteps light, deliberate moving just beyond my door. I sat up, heart pounding. "Hello?" The steps stopped. The house held its breath. Then, from the other side of the door, a voice I hadn't heard in years, low, familiar, and impossibly wrong, whispered, "Abigail, you came back."